It's not all about new year, new me, as it is new year, I'm gonna set these goals, how am I gonna achieve them, and actually what should I be implementing into my life? Hello you, welcome back to a new video all about how to change your life and set goals in 5 really simple ways. So in this video, I'm gonna be diving into 5 simple ways that are all statistically proven as to how you can set your goals, make changes in your life, and actually see the difference and the impacts that you wanna see. We are going into the stats here. We are going into the proven methods. So let's get straight into it. There's only 5. Grab your notepad and a pen if you want to make any notes, and let's get started. First one is journaling. Getting your thoughts out of your mind and onto paper has been shown to have incredible benefits. According to a study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology, expressive writing, so writing that expresses yourself, can reduce symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. And the American Psychological Association notes that journaling can enhance emotional intelligence and self-awareness. If something that you want to do this year is be more self-aware, this is something that you've got to start with. Even if you've got a load of friends that you share with, even if you have a therapist and you go to talking therapy or you do other forms of therapy, it is so important to still write and get things out onto paper. Now, I find that sometimes there can be a little bit of a barrier. We kind of don't want to admit what's going on in our heads, and writing it down makes it feel really real. However, we know that it is going to benefit us. We know that it is going to help us deal with whatever it is that's going in our mind. So we've got 2 choices. The first one is to just ignore whatever's going on in your mind and think that it will just go away, which it won't. The second is to confront it head on and actually see what comes up. One thing I want to share with you that's really helped my journaling practice is something called free writing. And free expressive writing is basically opening a blank piece of paper and just writing and seeing what comes up. It does not have to be really well formulated or thought out. It doesn't even have to be that you're making full sentences. And it also doesn't have to be that you're answering certain questions. You can just put your pen in your hand, put it to paper, and flow and write and see what comes up. And it'll be really interesting and an insightful exercise for you to actually realize what is occupying your mind. Maybe that little issue that happened 3 weeks ago that you didn't think caused you that much mental turmoil is all you can think about. And maybe that has been impacting every other thing in your life. So journaling, really beneficial. Start. February the 1st, it is time to talk day. And for that day, I will be sharing a journaling video for us to journal together. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure that you subscribe so that we can do some journaling and go through some questions together on February 1st, 2024. Number 2, the importance of getting outside and being in nature. Research published in the journal Scientific Reports suggests that spending at least 120 minutes per week in nature is linked to better health and better well-being. And exposure to natural environments has been associated with less stress, a better mood, and making you feel really alive. So it's increased feelings of vitality. So 120 minutes sounds like quite a long time, but I want you to realize that that is over a week. So what I always recommend is exposing yourself to natural daylight and getting outside at least once a day. That seems like a really simple thing that anyone can do. So make the time where you can to do it. Even if it is 5 minutes on one day and you know that on a weekend maybe you have a little bit longer to take a longer walk, getting that natural daylight and being in natural environments. Again, you may not be someone that has loads of beautiful nature and gorgeous landscapes next to you. That's okay as well. I always say that one thing we should do when we're walking outside, obviously make sure that you look where you're going, but look up. So look up at the trees around you. If you have trees around you, look up at the sky. There is a sky above all of our heads when we can walk outside that we often don't pay attention to. And even just changing our view of sight, instead of being looking at a phone or looking at a laptop or looking in one thing, we're looking up, we're looking at maybe the clouds in the sky, maybe there's different shades of colors. It's a really beautiful thing for us to do. And I think it makes us feel a little bit less focused and honed in on all the dramas that are going on in our life. And actually we can take a step back and really enjoy what is happening in nature, what's happening around us. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, we're already on number 2 and we're not talking about setting goals yet. Well, this is the thing. In order to set goals and have a life where you feel that you are achieving those goals, you've got to be self-aware. So I always say start with journaling and start with exposing yourself to nature, because once you're more self-aware, you are going to find it a lot easier to set those goals, set those tasks, and be able to achieve them. But also remembering that it's not always about hitting your KPIs. It's also about looking after yourself. You can be running the most successful business, you can be absolutely smashing it at work, but if you're not putting yourself first, if you're not looking after your mind or your health, then ultimately all of that is for nothing. Everything is going to suffer if your health is not in a good place. So that's why I always like to start with those, but don't worry, we're getting onto the goals soon. That takes me to number 3, and this is about setting SMART goals. So you might have heard about the term SMART. S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. Now, this is all about how we set our goals. It's all fine and well to think, I want to achieve this. It's vague. It feels overwhelming to a lot of us. There's no step-by-step breakdown. There's no, well, when? In the next 6 months or in the next 12 years? If we use the SMART measurables to help us, we'll notice that we're actually able to achieve that goal in a much easier way and without putting so much pressure on ourselves. A study published in the Journal of Management Studies found that individuals who set specific and challenging goals had higher performance levels than those with vague or no goals. So right now, what I want you to do is think about one specific goal. Be really specific about what it is that you want to do. I want you to be specific about, yes, what that goal is, but I also want you to be specific about the outcome that you want to desire. So what do you want to get out of this? So for example, one goal, which is not hugely specific, would be get in shape, which a lot of people are thinking about doing this time of year because it's January. But a more specific goal would be to add the why. So I want to get in shape to feel my healthiest self, or to be in a position where I feel really comfortable in the clothes that I wear. It's more specific, that gives it more of a meaning. And so you have more of that desire because you're thinking about the outcome, because you're being more specific. M stands for measurable. So this is a great opportunity for us to actually establish the criteria to qualify how we are going to measure whether we are achieving that goal or how we're doing in getting closer towards achieving that goal. You've got to make sure there is a way to measure your success. Otherwise, you're just going with it. It's just there's too much vagueness to it. An example would be that you wanted to save money, but actually to make it measurable, you would say, I want to save £100 a week, and put that aside. That's a way for you to measure whether you're on track, but it also gives more flavor to what you're doing. Okay, there's actually saving money is one thing, but putting £100 aside every week means that at the end of the month, I'm gonna have £400. And then at the end of the quarter, I'm gonna have £1,200. And so you can actually see how it makes you feel a bit more excited because you can see that growth happening rather than just saying, I wanna save some money. How much is it and how do we measure that? The A in SMART goals stands for achievable. And so this is really about breaking it down. So say, for example, you wanted to run a marathon. If you just said, I want to run a marathon next month, and you've never done any running before, that's not necessarily the most achievable thing. Now, I'm not saying you can't do it. I think you can, but I think it's probably better to say, I am going to run a marathon this year, and I am going to run 5K every week for the next 3 weeks, or I am going to find a marathon training plan and I'm going to stick to it for the next 4 weeks. And that way you're building up so that goal actually is achievable and you feel more confident and excited about it too. The R in SMART stands for relevant. So you want your goal to align with your objectives and be relevant to your life. And so if you wanted to get ahead in your career, you might think about completing a relevant course that will help you with your career progression. And lastly, the T in SMART stands for time bound. So like I mentioned earlier, you can have a really vague goal and no understanding as to whether you want to do it in the next 3 months or the next 12 years. We want to be specific. We want to look at the timings and it will help you to feel really, really confident with that goal that you've set yourself for this year. And again, this is a proven method, so this is going to work for you. When we look at time bound, I want you to think about duration of which you would like to achieve something. So let's say, for example, you wanted to start running your own yoga retreats. There's a great deal of research that you want to do before you just launch into doing it, which we hopefully would have covered in our SMA and R. But now we've got to the T, you've got all that information. Maybe it's a case of saying, okay, I want to start running yoga retreats in the next 3 months. And what does that look like? And is it a day retreat, a half day retreat, or is it a residential retreat when it's more than one night? What does it look like? But when do I want to achieve it by? It's going to give you a bit more drive to actually want to get the wheels in motion and get everything going, because you've got this set framework now to help you achieve the main goal that you want to achieve this year. Spent a bit of time on that one, and it's really because there's some key things you're going to see when you implement that. You'll feel so much more motivated. Ultimately, it's going to increase your chance of success, which is what we want this year. Okay, let's take it back to the last 2 ways to change your life and set your goals. And number 4 is really, really important, but one that I think we forget about when we're so focused and so determined to achieve what we want to achieve. And that is our support system. Having a support system, having good loved ones around you, having key friendships, having people that can support you is so, so crucial. I cannot tell you how important this one is, and it's one that I think a lot of us are sleeping on. According to a study published in the Journal of Happiness Studies, individuals with social support tend to experience higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. Positive social connections contribute to both the emotional well-being of the individual, but also it helps you be more resilient when you are facing certain challenges. So this is the thing. Try not to get so focused on your goals that you forget about your loved ones, that you don't make the time for them, that you don't give them a call, that you don't answer their messages, that you don't make plans with them. Because life is not just about hitting our goals and achieving our targets. It's about the richness that we feel in life. And while hitting those goals and targets could bring you that richness, and richness, I don't mean from a wealth perspective, I mean what makes your life rich. And that's not just money. There's so much more to it than just that. But don't neglect your loved ones, because they are so important. And having support, connections, and feeling a sense of community is so, so vital, especially as we have a loneliness crisis, an epidemic going on. Don't isolate yourself in order to chase your dreams. Make sure that you still keep your connections really nice and strong. And lastly, number 5 is practicing meditation or mindfulness. And obviously I'm going to throw this in. I'm a meditation teacher. I've got lots of classes on meditation on here if you want to start a little challenge, if that is something that you want to get into this year. But let's talk about the statistics on this, because there are so many proven stats and how this can really help completely transform your life for the better, and it certainly did for me. A meta-analysis published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that mindfulness meditation can lead to significant improvements in symptoms of anxiety, depression, and pain. Regular mindfulness practice has also been linked to an increase in focus, better emotional regulation, and enhanced overall well-being. These are really important things, and you might think, I don't have time because I'm just going for these goals I want to do. I'm so focused on these goals I've got to achieve. I don't have time to sit still and meditate. I don't have time for mindfulness. Actually, you need to make time for it, because it's going to increase all those things that you need in order to hit your goals. Number 1. 2, it's going to help you feel healthier and better in your mind, which is so important. And 3, it's going to help you feel a lot more clear. So when you're more clear, you're able to hit those goals more. We overthink, we get in our heads, we then struggle to sleep. All of this impacts us. So try to think less about, I don't have time for it, because that is such a common excuse. And instead think little and often. Even if you do 3 minutes of deep breathing and sitting in stillness every day, perfect. That is amazing. If you can do it 3 times a week instead of every day, that's also fine. But think about consistency over duration. So I don't want you to worry about having to meditate for an hour every single day, because that's just not needed for everyone. but think about little and often to help you out. I really hope you enjoyed learning more about those 5 proven ways to improve your health, to improve your life, to make the changes that you want to make this year. If you did, make sure that you subscribe. There's lots more videos like this coming your way, and let me know in the comments what you think. I would love to hear from you. And I will see you again very soon in our next class. Bye.